Welcome to the second edition of the Polish Institute of International Affairs Strategic Arc. The world is facing an increasingly complex geopolitical landscape, with multiple flashpoints and shifting power dynamics. The Russian invasion of Ukraine is in its second year of full-scale fighting. The people of Ukraine hold firmly against Kremlin's war of attrition. We are witnessing the rise of China, a power with global aspirations. The consensus that Ukraine must prevail influenced the awareness among Chinese decision-makers that a war in the Pacific would not only stop global trade, but also would be met with overwhelming reaction by the global community relying on peace. As we look ahead, the upcoming U.S. presidential elections in 2024 are sure to have a significant impact on the global stage. The outcome of these elections could shape U.S. foreign policy for years to come and have a ripple effect on the rest of the world. In this complex geopolitical landscape, the role of Poland cannot be overstated. Poland, a proven consensus-shaping state and advocate for the winning strategy, has a vital role to play in designing the course of international affairs. As we come together for this conference, let us take a moment to reflect on the challenges and opportunities facing the world today. Through dialogue and collaboration, we can work towards creating a strategy for the free world to follow and win against all odds. This is the Polish Institute of International Affairs Strategic Arc.
Please welcome to the stage Dr. Sławomir Dębski, Director of the Polish Institute of International Affairs.
Mr. President of the Republic of Poland, Your Excellency Andrzej Duda, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Poland Zbigniew Rau, Supreme Allied Commander Europe General Chris Cavoli, Chief of Staff of Polish General Staff General Raymond Andrzejczak, Secretaries and Undersecretaries of State, Excellencies, representing heads of state and foreign governments, governmental and administration officials, representatives of foreign and security community, members of academia, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored and proud to welcome you all on board the PISM Strategic Arc 2023 edition. We all learned last year that time is a strategic asset. Tempo in war, tempo in supporting Ukraine is of the essence. It determines our success or failure. So first and foremost, I want to thank you all present here in Warsaw for contributing your precious time to think about common free world goals and how we can help achieve them in the near future. The role of the strategic arc is to stimulate strategic thinking and help decision makers by narrowing any uncertainty they are constantly dealing with. Over 2 days of discussions, we are going to debate the path we should take and the free world should take for the coming months. Let me stress very strongly, with Russia's aggression on Ukraine and worrying prospects of tensions in the Pacific, the time for strategizing is back. This rings true for strategic thinking. One may say that most of our countries have strategies, all sorts of them. Libraries and government archives are full of strategic documents, once often never implemented. It is one thing to publish a strategy that reflects specific aspirations in usually general terms. But it is completely another to set the strategy when war has already erupted or is just around the corner. Simply put, strategies quite often do not survive the confronting with reality. They need to be adjusted and supported with appropriate tools that enforce them. With Russia's aggression on Ukraine, major threats have materialized that influence our societies. People are concerned with the risk of escalation and are worried that about the economic well-being. decision makers are under immense stress and pressure. On the one hand, they must respond to the internal political realities. On the other, this is a time when their decisions will define our security and prosperity for generations. The consequences of procrastination and mistakes can limit our freedom in the future and generate even bigger costs for our societies. Ladies and gentlemen, Russia's unprovoked and unjustified aggression on Ukraine gives us a new context for strategic thinking. Its main features are the following. First, Ukraine is a part of the free world, which will not be secure and free without the security and freedom of Ukraine. So not only should we not be afraid of winning, as I underlined last year in my opening remarks delivered from this podium, but we should be aware that after a year of the ongoing war, ending it without being defeated would mean victory for Russia. It must be clear that Russia has achieved nothing by using force, and Russia's war led to its strategic failure. Only this outcome of the war will strengthen our global deterrence. Second, the war showed that it was a strategic mistake to assume that Russia ceased to be a threat and the European states do not need the resources to fight the large-scale war. These mistakes narrow our room for maneuver today. Our resources are limited and we have troubles to increase arms and ammunition production fast enough. Third, the war revealed that not only the quality of our armed forces will be decisive on the battlefield, but also the quantity. Fourth, the war demonstrated that tempo is of the essence. You need to have the necessary resources while also being able to make split-second decisions. Fifth, the war proved that our common strategic goal should be to secure long-term peace in Europe, which means helping Ukraine to defeat Russia and simultaneously deter aggression on other parts of the world. Ladies and gentlemen, to protect our vital interests in the long term, we must be able to coordinate actions undertaken by the entire world. This is why it's so vital to coordinate our strategic thinking in the coming months. And Warsaw, strategic arc, is a perfect place to do it. We should give Ukraine the necessary tools to fight and win this war. We cannot repeat mistakes of the past which seem to have encouraged Russia and its aggression and may provoke conflict in other parts of the world. It was our weakness as well as lack of potential and clearly defined goals that encouraged the aggressor. Now, Ukrainians are buying us time with their blood, sweat and tears so that we can correct our mistakes. Let's not waste their sacrifice and let's be grateful. The credibility of our alliances will also be a foundation of the long-term security and prosperity. When NATO adopted a new strategy and is refocusing on collective defense, every member must provide the necessary capabilities for its own defense and joint missions as stated in the Article 3 of the Washington Treaty. This will be crucial if we want to further burden sharing, maintain a strong transatlantic link, and make the security guarantees enshrined in Article 5 credible. Our broader strategic goal should not be to cease cooperation with China, but to deter war in the Pacific. But this part of deterrence also requires strategic foresight and wisdom. Russia's aggression on Ukraine shows that the peace through trade approach doesn't work. That could even speed up aggression, not deter it. There are some tough decisions to be made if we want to avoid paying much bigger costs in the future. We need to diversify our trade and supply chains to limit the risk and deter war in the Pacific. And in the end, I have bad news for you. We are not sailing in the Inuit kayak, unfortunately. The free world is like an incredibly big ship facing an ocean storm on the horizon. We must change our speed and direction. Orders must be clear and delivered quickly, from the bridge to engine room, because the changing course of that kind of ship will not be quick, but will take much time. So, ladies and gentlemen, all hands on deck, and let's set sail on the 2023 strategic arc. Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in history when nations need to rise to the challenge or live in shame for doing what is right, or not doing what is right. I'm proud that Poland rose last year to the challenge supporting Ukraine and continues at this path. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor to welcome and introduce to you one of the great heroes of this Polish pride, President of Poland, Andrzej Duda.
Dear Director, thank you very much for this introduction. Distinguished guests, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to welcome a distinguished group of politicians, experts, military officers, diplomats, and opinion leaders from around the world. You have gathered in Warsaw for the second time on the initiative of the Polish Institute of International Affairs. This conference, Strategic Arc, is designed to help chart the course of the free world through the meanders of our recent history. And I think no one has any doubt how necessary it is at this difficult time. I would like to begin by asking a quick question. How can Western unity and solidarity be consolidated to help Ukraine to put pressure on Russia as a whole and to confront other challenges? Firstly, by action, by continuing the campaign of military, political, and humanitarian support for Ukraine. Secondly, by imposing further tough sanctions on Russia in the European Union and G7, convincing the undecided, minimizing dependence on Russian energy resources, completely withdrawing capital and investment from Russia. Thirdly, by making the entire international community aware that the fate of the world is being decided in Ukraine. Because Russia's success would be an incentive for other countries to conduct aggressive policies. Hence, the need to gain support for the defense of global peace. We must prove that aggression benefits no one. So we need to create mechanisms that will provide long-term financial and defense backing for Ukraine. This will send a clear signal to the world that justice can prevail and that any attempt to undermine the international order is doomed from the start. Our aim should also be to secure Ukraine's accession to the European Union and NATO. This would encourage Ukraine to carry out the necessary reforms, which are already underway in wartime conditions, and to modernize the country. I hope that the upcoming NATO summit will take decisions that will bring Ukraine closer to the membership of the alliance. In the meantime, we should be ready to provide Ukraine with professional security guarantees, because a sense of security in Ukraine will determine the will of millions of Ukrainians to return to their country and to rebuild it with success. Ladies and gentlemen, we must also prepare ourselves for Russia's continued aggressive policy in the long term. That is why, in line with its new strategy, NATO must strengthen its defense and deterrence capabilities. It's essential to increase the presence of allied forces on its eastern flank. This will send a clear signal of credibility to our societies and to a potential aggressor. At the same time, we must not forget to use the instruments of NATO and the European Union together with our main ally, the United States, to uphold the rules-based architecture of global security. After all, effective deterrence of Russia and reducing the risk of other conflicts demand US involvement and US-European cooperation. Therefore, the priority of the Polish presidency of the European Union in 2025 will be to further boost cooperation with the United States and NATO. Ladies and gentlemen, Poland will continue to support strong US leadership in Europe, bolstering NATO's eastern flank and territorial enlargement of the alliance and the European Union. This is the only way to ensure that Russian imperial ambitions do not come true. Because Russia must lose this war and understand that the united free world stands and will stand against it. I look forward with great interest to hearing your views on this matter. I am delighted that such a distinguished group of experts will be debating in this room. Let me also take this opportunity to thank you for all your analytical and advisory work, which I recognize and appreciate. I wish you fruitful discussions. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Mr. President, thank you very much for your support for the strategic arc. Last year, we had invited the president of neighboring country to be with us and attend strategic arc, and he was unable to do that. War kept him in his capital. This year, we repeated our invitation, and again, war is ongoing. He's unable to come. But he was very determined to be with us. And even coming late in the night, he recorded a special address to us, to the members of Strategic Arc 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear the address of President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, to the Strategic Arc 2023.
The message by the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelenskyy, will be delivered in Ukrainian. Please turn on your translation devices.
Ladies and gentlemen, at any moment, the recording of this address may be interrupted by an air raid siren. This one sentence briefly and accurately describes the state of global security and the level of threats it faces today. I welcome all participants of the second strategic arc and the important dialogue on global security of the world. The decisive battle for future of this world has been going on for 449 days by now, and today is a special day. This forum is taking place on a significant date, 18th of May, a day on which history has left us with many clues and lessons, warnings and mistakes that we cannot repeat on the path to our global security. Today, on the 18th of May, 1792, a Russian army of 100,000 soldiers crossed the borders of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and invaded its land. The Russian-Polish War began, the consequences of which we all remember. Today, the enemy is the same, the goal is the same, the price of defeat is the same. We have no right to lose. We do not have the right to weaken resistance, opposition. We do not have the right not to put pressure on evil, not to lose unity among our allies, to lay down our arms too early, not to fight till the final victory. We have no right to be deceived when Russia starts actively talking about peace and diplomacy. Russia is not concerned with the end of bloodshed, but with the end of money and resources to continue it. Russia does not need peace, but time for new missiles, new plan, a new attack. This is the formula of Russian politics. It has been unchanged for centuries. The 21st century should be the last century of such Russian politics. The mechanisms for implementing these are contained in the Ukrainian formula of peace, security guarantees to ensure that this will never happen again, so that 18th of May 1944 does not happen again, the genocide of the Crimean Tatar people, forced deportation and the loss of their homes for decades. All that which modern Russia, calling itself the successors and followers of the totalitarian regime, repeated in Crimea in 2014. And repeated it 8 years later in the Donbas region, in Mariupol, in Kherson. Unpunished evil always returns without an international tribunal, without bringing all Russian war criminals to justice. This evil will return soon. We have often heard such sayings as the destruction of the international security architecture, and on 24th of February they were translated into very clear visual forms. Destroyed houses in Bucha, Borodyansk, Uman, Hostomel, Mariupol. This is how security architecture looks like today. Kinjal missiles are flying at our security architecture every day. We need to have our sky protected. We thank everyone involved in this process and the formation of the fighter jet coalition. We will definitely see fighting falcons in the Ukrainian skies. For our ancestors, the falcon has always been a blessed by heaven symbol of intelligence, courage, youth and strength and light and victory. 100 years ago, the son Hey Sokoli led Ukrainians and Poles into a joint battle for our freedom and yours. And today our ranks are much more numerous. And just like 100 years ago, we will see the parade on Krещатик again to our victory and yours, to the victory of Ukraine, of Europe, of the world, of humanity. And finally, I want to mention another 18th of May. Last year, 18th of May, the day when NATO received applications of 2 new candidates, future members, the speed with which Finland has passed this way, and the high prospects of Sweden give Ukraine confidence and allows us to have hopes on the eve of the NATO summit in Vilnius. We have faith in the alliance's determination and will to reaffirm its choice in favor of the values of freedom and security. We believe that in July we will see a new important stage on Ukraine's path to NATO membership, on the path to a common and secure future of Ukraine, of Europe, of the world and humanity.